MSNBC host Joy Reid, one of the most recognizable faces in political news commentary, has made a shocking revelation about pay inequality inside the network. Reid, who has been at the helm of the Readout since 2020 and has consistently delivered strong ratings in the primetime lineup, shared that she was paid only about 10% of what some of her male and white colleagues at MSNBC were earning, even when her show outperformed theirs. Her candid comments sparked immediate discussion about wage disparity, systemic bias, and the challenges faced by women of color in media. Joy Reid, who became the first black woman to host a primetime cable news show when she took over the 7 p.m. slot on MSNBC, has long been praised for her sharp political analysis, incisive interviews, and ability to speak directly to diverse audiences. However, despite her professional achievements and the popularity of her program, Reid revealed that her compensation lagged far behind that of other hosts on the same network. In her remarks, Reid emphasized that this pay gap is not only a personal experience but also a reflection of the broader inequities faced by women, particularly black women, in corporate America. "I was paid literally 10% of what some of my colleagues were making," Reid said, noting that her ratings at times exceeded theirs. "But that's the world we live in." The statement highlights how deeply entrenched systemic disparities remain, even in industries that pride themselves on progressive values. Media organizations, including MSNBC, often present themselves as champions of equality and diversity. Yet, Reid's admission shows that behind the scenes, the structures of inequality remain intact. Joy Reid's career trajectory has been marked by resilience and innovation. Before joining MSNBC, Reid worked as a journalist, political commentator, and author. She first gained widespread attention as the host of the Reid Report from 2014 to 2015. After the cancellation of that program, she remained at MSNBC as a national correspondent and frequent substitute anchor, where her sharp political commentary quickly earned her a loyal following. When the network sought a new host for the 7 p.m. time slot in 2020, Reid was tapped to lead the Readout. The timing was significant. America was grappling with the COVID-19 pandemic, racial justice protests, and the looming presidential election. Reid's show became a vital space for in-depth political analysis, particularly through the lens of race, social justice, and democracy. Her impact was immediate. Ratings soared, and she often outperformed competing programs on Fox News and CNN in the same time slot. Reid's show drew a diverse and highly engaged audience, solidifying her place as one of MSNBC's most important voices. Despite her success, Reid disclosed that her salary remained disproportionately low compared to her peers. The claim that she earned just 10% of what some other MSNBC hosts made stunned audiences. If accurate, it suggests a massive gap in pay, one that cannot be explained away by ratings or professional performance. Such disparities are not new in the media industry. Historically, women and people of color have faced steep pay gaps when compared to white male counterparts. High-profile figures like Oprah Winfrey, Shonda Rhimes, and Viola Davis have all spoken out about similar inequities in their respective fields. Reid's comments also echo broader statistics on the racial and gender pay gap in the U.S. According to data from the National Women's Law Center, black women earn about 64 cents for every dollar earned by white men. For women in leadership and high-profile industries, the gap often persists despite visibility and success. Reid's revelation sparked immediate debate on social media and among industry insiders. Supporters praised her for speaking out about a difficult issue, noting that many in her position remain silent due to fear of backlash or professional consequences. Others questioned how such disparities could persist in an era when transparency and equality are supposed to be core values in corporate America. Some observers also noted the irony that MSNBC, a network often associated with progressive politics and advocacy for social justice, would allow such a pay gap to exist. Critics argued that Reid's disclosure undermines the network's credibility on issues of equity. On the other hand, defenders of MSNBC suggested that compensation packages in cable news are complex, involving not only ratings but also experience, contract negotiations, and marketability. Still, Reid's higher ratings compared to some of her peers make it difficult to justify a gap as wide as 90%. Reid's experience underscores a larger issue. Representation in media is not just about visibility on screen but also about fairness behind the scenes. While networks often highlight the diversity of their on-air talent, compensation structures sometimes fail to reflect true equity. For many black women in the workforce, Reid's story resonated as an all-too-familiar reality. High achievement often does not translate into fair pay, and the burden of negotiating for better compensation can be compounded by stereotypes, bias, and limited opportunities. This also raises questions about sustainability. If media organizations want to attract and retain diverse talent, they must address not only hiring practices but also compensation equity. Otherwise, they risk perpetuating cycles of inequality that drive talented individuals out of the industry. Reid did not dwell solely on her personal experience but framed it as part of the broader fight for equity. She acknowledged that while the disparity was frustrating, it reflected the world we live in, where systemic inequities are deeply entrenched. Her willingness to speak openly about the issue may encourage others in similar positions to come forward. Transparency around pay is often the first step toward addressing inequities. Reid's comments may also increase pressure on networks like MSNBC to examine their internal practices more closely. Reid's disclosure comes amid a wider conversation about pay equity across industries. Hollywood, corporate America, and even professional sports have seen increased demands for transparency and fairness. Movements like #TimesUp and #PayEquity now have highlighted how systemic discrimination continues to affect women and minorities. For the media industry, the stakes are particularly high. Journalists and commentators shape public narratives about justice, fairness, and democracy. If the industry itself is failing to live up to those values, it risks losing credibility with the audiences it seeks to serve. Joy Reid's revelation that she was paid just 10% of what some of her colleagues earned, despite often outperforming them in ratings, is a stark reminder of how deep-rooted pay inequality remains. Her story is not just about one individual but about an entire system that undervalues the contributions of women, especially women of color. As the first Black woman to host a primetime cable news program, Reid has already broken barriers. By speaking out about pay disparity, she has once again pushed the conversation forward, forcing the industry and the public to confront uncomfortable truths. The question now is whether networks like MSNBC will respond with real change, or whether her words will simply be added to the long list of examples where systemic inequities were acknowledged but not corrected. For many viewers and professionals in the industry, the hope is that Reid's courage in speaking out will pave the way for a future where talent, performance, and fairness truly determine compensation, no matter race or gender.